welcome. We have our very special guest arriving right now.
Right there.
I will be your host for this afternoon. My name is Joe Wills. I'm a cartoonist. I have a syndicated feature called Maze Tunes, TV show, Emmy Award-winning TV show called Cartoon Academy on PBS, and I'm also the artist for Charlie the Tuna. But I also wrote a book on the top 100 animated TV characters of all time.
I know that.
You know the book, yes?
Hardcover.
It is a hardcover book, big monster book.
I was very excited. I was in it.
Yes, yes.
Okay, that I overlapped you.
Courage came in at number 48 out of the top 100 of all time. That's pretty good.
I think it's good.
Yeah, I think it's good. Marty, it's great to meet you.
You too, my friend.
Yeah, you can lean a little close, but you got it. Probably
You want me leaning?
whatever you want to do.
What are we doing?
Bring the mic to you. We're going to talk a little bit
Can I
about.
just pick the mic up?
do whatever you want.
What do you care what I do?
I don't care what you do. It's not my mic. Marty,
All right.
it's great to see you.
Okay, it's good to see you too. I didn't listen to your name
Joe,
because I'm busy,
you being you.
putzing around.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I love that. Just
Good
putzing
seeing you.
around. Good to see you. Hey, we're going to talk a lot about courage, obviously, but I want to talk about you because I actually want to know how much of courage
I want to
is.
talk about me is the question.
No, of course, man.
You grew up in New York.
I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. Yep.
Your family owned a deli. Is that right?
Yes, my family did. You saw this on the internet because it's gonna go south very soon. But yes, my father did own a kosher delicatessen in Brooklyn, New York. I know a lot of you people are very excited about that news.
Well, here's why I'm excited about that. What did you have an ear for voices?
Did I have an ear?
As you had all these
Yes,
as a
I
kid,
always-
you're hearing all these people come in with different dialects and just the different sounds. Were you?
Always did. I had an ear for voices. I had an ear for. I was always. As a kid, I had to get up. I had to be up and doing stuff and performing in front of people. I would imitate people. I would do them in front of my family. Anything for people to notice me. My philosophy was this, and I know you didn't ask me this question,
I wanna
but
hear it anyway.
if you want to know the depths of my existence, nobody really wants to do that, but that's okay. My philosophy was this. I said, I love it if you love me. I'm okay if you hate me, but just don't ignore me. That was my, go-to for, you like that?
Yeah, that's great.
Clearly everybody else felt it as well.
So
Anyway.
I'm going to read you the words we use, the traits we described to describe courage. And I
Okay.
want you to tell me how much of this is you. Maybe thinking back to your childhood, how much of this is you? So, frightened, heroic, protective, heady, and loyal.
It's great.
How much is that is you?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
See, all the, it really, but the only thing is I would probably reverse the order of some of those things and put heroic and loyal at the, like at the end.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But still, I am loyal, and I get, when I say heroic, I'm not heroic in the, traditional sense, but I will stand up and speak on behalf of somebody if I felt somebody was doing wrong, somebody was being wronged, or somebody was being, bullied. I actually did that. When I wasn't bullying myself, I actually stood up for people that were being, when I was very young, I did bully, and then I felt bad about it, and I righted it when I got a little bit older as a kid, and I realized that's no good, especially because I got bullied,
Yeah. So you grow up, you get into acting, and when did you still act, but when was the transition to sort of doing voiceover? How did that happen?
Well, I mean, honestly, I'm going to be, full disclosure here. I mean, voiceover has never been a thing that I have done a lot of.
Yeah.
And, maybe as far as that list of artists that appeared in that 100, and I'm not being unduly humble,
Yeah.
but, I've always been more of a live actor, I was on stage actor, comedy, bunch of character work on television shows and various things like that, independent films, and voiceover was never something that I really did do much of.
Yeah.
And courage was more of an anomaly for me, which probably separates me from the other 99 people
Yeah,
on the
I
list.
agree.
Well, maybe there's one or two other ones that got lucky with one beautiful score, but that's really what happened to me. One beautiful score, and look at all these people coming to see me in these.
But you're also absolutely. But you're also sort of something in that you have been the voice for quite some time now, which is remarkable. It's a remarkable longevity.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's right. You're right about that, Joe.
Okay,
I
so
am really, honestly, this book that he did, tremendous book. I'm tickled. I didn't know you were going to be interviewing me.
I didn't know I was going to be interviewing either, so we're both surprised and delighted.
I'm tickled by that. This book is fantastic, and it's just the illustrations in it. It's just put
you're
together
very kind.
so beautifully, and the descriptions are richer and deeper than. In some of these hardcover books where they feature things, they have a lot of illustrations, a little bit of text on it, but this one
And that actually leads into my next question, because in the book we break down Courage's best acts of courage, his greatest moments of courageousness. Do you have a favorite episode, a favorite moment that really stays with you?
You guys are going to laugh because I know a lot of people have their favorites. People like King Ramses' Curse, people like Freaky Fred, people like, actually the one with the feet, they love the Cats ones and Cajun Granny Stew and all those things. For me, I loved all those and I'm excited by that. But as far as what was most, touched my heart, was that first year, during that first year when Courage actually had more lines and more words rather than the vocal histrionics that are all, so associated with him. The first episode was so mind-boggling for me because he spoke to the shadow, and, he spoke in general, to, numerous lines, and to the shadow, he actually, the scary shadow, got really frightened, it got all messed up, he had a breakdown, and he was lost in the shadows, and Courage kind of spoke to him and said, looked at all the stars and pointed up, and the shadow went to, he was saying, go to the stars, and that's where we all, belong, and everybody has their place in the stars, and it was very kind of touching. And I thought to myself, wow, this is a show that not only will be comedic and will be this frightened stuff, but it will have some touching elements as well. And the other one was the Hunchback of Nowhere, where him and this little hunchback develop a friendship, and they both share a sense of being ostracized, and so it was kind of nice to do that as well.
Is that but both episodes are really about embracing the outcast and saying, "Hey, we're all part of this wonderful universe." Does that resonate on a personal level for you, for your childhood and so forth?
I'm so glad you're interviewing me. No one has ever asked me that question before. That's a great question, and actually, I will have to say yes. Listen, I had a lot of friends when I was younger. I was never like in a shortage for having friends and having a social life, and I had a lot of love and stuff in my life, but there was something about me that wasn't quite like fitting in with the normal, so to speak. And so sometimes, though I did have, I was all right, there was something in me that always felt kind of not quite with society, not quite with, the generally accepted sensibility of what was going to happen in Brooklyn for a young kid in Brooklyn, New York, a Jewish kid from Brooklyn, New York, you know, in a middle-class neighborhood that was also somewhat mixed with black folks and Italian folks and a mixed bag. But you know, there was a kind of road that was often most of the people that from my background would go to, and I always felt like I'm not quite screwed on that way. And so yes, to a certain extent, there is that type sort of thing, you know.
So you weren't really, you're an actor, you weren't necessarily looking for voiceover roles.
No.
This falls into your lap. I mean, how does this
It
happen?
fell into my lap, essentially. Yes, I mean, I've been doing a lot of comedy on like a sketch comedy around the city of New York. I had a partner where the two of us wrote and performed our own work, which is what I would encourage any aspiring actor to do. And it's actually, not even aspiring, people are doing it more now than ever. You got to do your own thing. You got to create your own thing now. It's not like wait around for somebody to give you work. Find your own work and make it, produce it, and do it, whatever it is, on your phone or whatever it is. But for me, I was doing this work, and it kept me, kept my toes in the game, so to speak, in the water of performing when it's not easy to get a job as an actor, right? And so we did really well, and I was very confident. It actually helped my confidence a tremendous amount, because as you all probably well know, this business does not do well for a human being's confidence usually, So a friend of mine called me up out of nowhere and said, I saw the review that you had in Time Out New York, that you were performing, and you were doing shows. This one particular show that I was doing that we actually got reviewed in. And she said, I saw that you were working. I thought to myself, wow, I haven't seen Marty in 8 years. But I'm working for this guy, John Dilworth, who's creating this new show called Courage the Cowardly Dog. And he has listened to every voiceover artist in the city and can't seem to arrive at a decision as to how this character is supposed to sound or it's supposed to be. So he heard over 300 voices, is what she said to me. And so ultimately it became like, she said, I figured I'd reach out to you. Maybe we'll get lucky. And I went there, and within 3 minutes, John Dilworth, there was something about this raspy, deep-pitched voice that he really loved, and I guess my overall persona he loved. And the only thing he said is, could you do me a favor though? I think this is really great for the character. Can you pitch it up here? Can you go up here? And so I did, and he said, we got it.
Wow.
I think we got it. That's it.
That's amazing.
That's how it came about.
That's unbelievable.
Kind of cool, right?
Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, so I found this to be just an odd anomaly that is so interesting in your credits. How many different CSIs have you been on?
Now, I've been on hold on, I'm going to say, first, not CSI, SVU.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I've been in 2 SVUs, 4 Law and Orders, regular, 2 Criminal Intents, the one season they had Conviction. I was in Third Watch. I was in Blacklist recently.
Yes.
And so, yes, that kind of thing, yes.
Yeah, it's interesting because that's a very specific genre that I don't think people would necessarily associate with you. And you're just showing up, say, hey, I want to do this, and they like you. And they
A different character.
Yeah.
In other words, I'm a character guy,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you look at me, you listen to me, you don't necessarily think this guy should be in a little pink dog that's jumping up and down. You don't necessarily, no, you're thinking that now, but you wouldn't think it if you didn't know, right?
You're a character. You're a character actor. You find a voice for a character. Who were your influences? Was it other character actors growing up that you loved and admired, or who was your inspiration?
I had a few inspirations. First and foremost, as I got a little more mature. I mean, 1967, Dustin Hoffman and The Graduate. I saw a short, funny-looking, scrawny-looking guy with a big nose, Jewish guy, who had a very limited vocal range, by the way. Was tremendous as an actor. And I thought to myself, there's hope for a guy that looks like me to actually become a lead character in a famous movie. Now that still has yet to happen, my friends. It still has not happened. But but I'm still alive, and I'm an old guy now. Not old, you know what I'm saying. And I can still get it because I'm feeling more energized than ever, and I'm moving forward. What's happening is I'm creating my own work now.
Yeah.
Creating my own work. I'm producing short films, going around on the internet. I'm doing this. I did a thing on Hunter Thompson. I figured I'd get this.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson.
I saved you the trouble.
Yeah.
About Hunter Thompson, where I play Hunter Thompson. I'm about to do a film about a box of clowns. It's called Box of Clowns. That's all I'm telling you, but it'll be kind of cool, and it's going to be around, and the Hunter Thompson thing has been on the film festival circuit and all that good stuff. But so, yes, I know I got off the topic. Back to
I think it's right on
but
topic.
I got it in, man.
Yeah.
I got it in.
That's a pro.
That's right.
Get those plugs in, yeah.
Well, the pros got to come back to where they were, right?
Yeah.
Where were we? No, I know where we
You're doing great.
I know where we were. So Richard Dreyfuss really, in The Goodbye Girl, particularly got me as I was a young man in my 20s. And, I said, there's another example. And Richard Dreyfuss, you listen to me very, very carefully. Just listen to me. I felt right with Richard Dreyfuss.
Yeah, and I think it's important because in that era, Jewish Americans were relegated to comedy roles primarily. So to see someone in leading roles like Dustin Hoffman must have been just important.
It was fantastic, and they were still funny.
Yeah.
Lawrence Hoffman was still funny in that movie, and so was Richard Dreyfuss, very funny, but also able to do the dramatic stuff, the serious stuff, which is something that I can do.
There's a real heart to their humor.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's just tremendous. I don't want to, I could spend we should go out for drinks and just talk. Yeah, I could spend all day talking, but I want to give our audience a chance to ask some questions of you. We do have a microphone right here in the center. If you wouldn't mind lining up, we'll take a few questions from our audience. Also, if you're watching on the line, you can type in those questions and we'll try to get a few. Hello, welcome.
Hi there. Hi, Marty. Good to see
How
you.
you doing? Good to see you again.
You have a great voice, too.
She does.
Why, thank you, dear. Would you like some my vinegar sugar cookies? Okay, so my question, Marty, is going into voiceover, I can imagine all the challenges that you had to go through with, the screaming, like not had to strain your voice. Like, tell us all about that.
What you mean about when I'm doing courage? About like right now, I have maybe 40% of my voice left after this 4-day monumental, extremely incredible weekend that I've had here in MegaCon. Yes. Anyway, so yes, here's the trick of it. Talking in my regular voice actually is what makes me lose my voice a little bit. When I do courage, I go up into my head voice. And even though I'm not really much of a singer, no, I am actually a good singer, but I'm not like a trained singer. And so I know that when you go up here, it's less strain on the throat. It really is. So that kind of, the main courage voices kind of help me cheat things along a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Great question. Thank you so
That's
much.
a very good question.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hi. Next up. Hi, welcome. What's your
Hey
question?
again. My question is, I literally just blanked right now, sorry. But my question is there a character that you want to play that you haven't been able to play yet? Like something that you really want to play but you just haven't had the opportunity?
Oh, okay, specific, or can I answer a type of character?
A type of character, yeah. that's
Okay, so I would really love to play a very evil. I got to play somebody somewhat evil in Blacklist recently. It was kind of low key, and I kind of enjoyed that. I love this. I want to play an evil, frightening character. I want to be able to do that. Because, comedy has always been a big part of my life, and God bless, it's gotten me through, some sad times and all that good stuff. But I like to play some really evil, mean-spirited lead character, the bad guy in the film. That's what I'd love to do.
I'd like to see that. Also, thank you for my friend's birthday message yesterday that I got.
Oh,
in the video.
you're welcome,
Thank
man.
you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. Hi.
Hi, how you doing, Marty?
Hi.
My
How are
name's
you?
Liz. I'm doing great. So, you voice Courage, and Courage the Cowardly Dog has always been a part of my childhood. And not a day goes by as a kid that I would always try to watch every episode. And I have to ask, what is it? What was it like after going through the whole thing, the Courage the Cowardly Dog? What was it like at the end when the show was done?
Oh, it's miserable.
Was it?
I was miserable. I know what was it. I was miserable. I had 4 beautiful years where I got to be a part of this wonderful, gift of a show that John Dilworth created out of nothing, right? But also I had employment for 4 years, steady employment as an actor for 4 years, which is something that very few actors ever get, ever. 4 years straight of employment, like that, straight employment. So that, for me, it was on a strictly, a creative level and a sensibility, the sensibility of being able to be a part of it, but also the financial level, the gravy train part of things.
As a follow-up to that, what is the feeling like when you get the chance to revisit the character? When they call and say, hey, guess what? We're doing something else. We got a video game. We're gonna go pair you up with Scooby. How does that feel?
And you're leading into the pairing up with Scooby part.
Yeah.
Which we did. And that was mind-boggling, Joe. That was so when they called me up and asked me to do the... By the way, before I finish that question, I answered your question, though. I wanted to make sure that I answered your question. And I thank you for that. I just didn't want to, we're going in a lot of different rabbit holes here. So thank you for that.
Thank you very much.
Bless you. But anyway, the idea of, I'm taking over here.
You're doing
I'm
great.
Sorry, Joe.
No.
I don't want to step like that.
No, you're great. Keep going.
So the idea of when they reached out to me and said, "Hey, we want to do a crossover with Scooby-Doo," it was like, oh my God! Like they've been, people have been, telling me for years they got to bring that show back. They got to bring that show back. Over and over again, people are saying, I'm saying, yeah, it was so popular. Why did it end after 4 seasons? And it was so beloved. But when they came to me with that Scooby thing, I was thinking on one level, not only am I getting to come back, pardon me, but I'm also getting to be paired with a giant in, the industry. Scooby-Doo is an empire,
Yeah.
I mean, 49 movies, I think, or is it at 50 yet?
Yeah.
50 Scooby movies. So there'd never been a Courage movie, so I was going to be on the coattails of, a giant, a locomotive. Well, I would be the little engine that could.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Do you remember?
I remember. I think I can. I
don't think a lot of
But I think in many ways that, now, if you, even if you weren't already, which I think you were, this solidified, Courage's place in the Parthenon of great cartoon canines, to be able to share the screen with one of the other great legends. I don't view it as sharing the screen with a legend. I view it as 2 legends on screen together. And what a magnificent moment that is. So I'm glad. But that also, again, speaks to that longevity. Because I'll take it.
I
You
gotta
deserve
take it while I can. You know?
But how often it happens that a great character they bring them back and they go, yeah, we'll just use a different voice actor. That really speaks to that power and legacy of your being the personification of that character. It's just so
Yes.
important.
Thank you for that. And they did it. By the way, they said we're not auditioning you, but we do need you to record a little something on tape so we can hear that you can still do it.
Sure.
Because after all, I'm 20 years older, and they're thinking maybe he can't do it, anymore. So they just said, okay, good, he can do it. So that was great.
Thank you. Next question, please.
How are you, sir? How you doing? Can you hear me all right?
You can hear you now. Go ahead.
Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
I'm from the Bronx, New York. So we got the accent. Okay.
God bless.
And how'd you get into the business, and how can I get into the business?
I'm sorry, still not here.
How'd you get into this business, and how can I get in this business? Because I do voiceovers and I have a couple tapes and stuff like that, but I have no guidance.
So it's how do you break into the business? You kind of fell into it, but I'm sure you have advice.
Well, no, I actually didn't. I mean, in terms of the business of acting, period.
Voiceovers.
Okay, so
Specifically voices.
again, voiceover. I can give you, just a touch of advice that I learned long after because right now, long after I did Courage, because right now I am actually pursuing, for the first time, an actual voiceover career. I'm actually pursuing that now in addition to other things. And so this is what my agent said to me. He said, when you make a reel, he said, what you want to do is one of the first things you do is make a reel. And when you're making that reel, what you do is you kind of bring up like things on YouTube, right? You bring up little commercials, because if it's a commercial reel or if it's an animation reel, do two separate things. But whatever you want to do, bring up stuff and listen to them, the ones that speak to you, he said, and then start imitating those things. And if that seems to be a good voice for you, well then record it, put it on tape, and then add those up, then bring it to someone and have them make sense of it, edit it together nicely. That's how you make a reel. But I'm gonna go one step further, and he didn't say this to me, but I know this is true. This is something deep in my heart. Before you go into voiceover, you wanna say, do I like acting? Because a lot of people think, oh, I can do some funny voices, I can do some great voices, I want to go into voiceover. But really, yes, you can do technically some fun voices, but that doesn't mean you're a good actor. So you need to kind of, I think, my opinion is you need to kind of explore the whole idea of acting, period. That would be on stage probably in a class or something like that, or if it's virtual, I think it's nauseating, but that's my personal opinion on the matter. But ultimately, you want to explore that first. And if you're good with that, if you're excited about that, well then, then work on that. Then I would say, take a voiceover class and learn some of the tricks of the trade. Then make a reel. That's as involved as I could possibly get on that.
Do you remember Don LaFontaine?
Don LaFontaine, the great
You gotta know him.
movie guy voice.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
he was the movie phone, right?
In a world, that guy.
Yes, I remember.
I did take a class with Steve Garron. I don't know, Steve
Oh, excellent.
Garron. You know him? Do you know Steve Garron? By any chance, Marty? Do you know Steve Garron?
No, I don't.
Look him up when you get a chance, all right?
All
Thank
right,
you very
man.
much.
And I'll get out of here. Just what agent do you recommend?
But there are so many, just go online, look up voiceover agents. There's tons of them out there. Find the one that is looking for what you have to offer. Thank you very much. How about take one more question, please. Thank you.
Hi, Marty. It's good to see you.
Good to see you.
My question is, were you ever worried about damaging your vocal cords given how much Kurt screams in the show?
Were you ever worried about damaging your vocal cords, or did you?
No, I
knew the range.
wasn't worried about it at all. I just did.
Yeah.
I just did. I don't know if I did or not. I mean, Like right now, I'm hoarse, but I wasn't hoarse at the beginning of this weekend. You know, and I've been doing a lot of screaming and yelling this weekend, you know, all day long kind of thing. So of course there would be that. But really when I would go in, maybe I'm blessed with strong chords. I know I did rasp my voice up probably more, you know, because I did Courage. But, you know, also could be a function of aging anyway, you know. But is it a function of aging? Yeah, whatever. But anyway, no, yes, I did not worry about it at all, but I did anyway, and I made it happen anyway. I did do some damage, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yes,
It's
sir.
okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
68, I'm all right.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
still all right.
Thank you, sir.
Marty, I have one last question, and that is, you know, Courage has this sort of great message of finding the bravery within us all. If you had one message that you could share with the audience and our viewers, something you want them to take away, something you've learned from your life that say, go forth and live this, what would that message be you'd want to share with everybody?
Before I answer, this is the best interview I've ever had.
Too kind.
The
Thank you.
best that I've ever had. And I've had some even good ones. This isn't a man who. This man.
This man.
No, this man.
No, this man.
No, you.
No, you.
Okay, so my message would be that, and you know, Courage has given me this anyway. You know, the idea of being afraid is, you know, is probably one of the most primal sorts of emotions that exist, in our lives. Fear is. Stephen King actually, quoting H.P. Lovecraft, said, "Fear is the most primal emotion that exists," and so ultimately it is something that once we no longer are infants, where everything is fine, everything is delightful, fear will develop. Inevitably, it develops. And so the fear we have inside of us can be, you know, as it grows, can become a crippling thing. I mean, crippling to the point where some people don't even, you know, get out of bed. We talk about depression, you know, being so prevalent in today's world, but actually it is fear, I believe, that ultimately, you know, creates that, you know, stolid, you know, depression kind of, I can't even move, I'm frozen. But ultimately, fear, it's like a short circuit that happens, it becomes depressed. So what I say is, I think part of the problem is we're not willing to face our fears. And so Courage faces his fears, right? He's terrified of everything. It's okay to be afraid. It's all right to be afraid. As a matter of fact, we have to be afraid of things. We have to understand that there are things we do need to be afraid of, and then be able to discern what is in our head and what is a real concern kind of thing. So I say the idea of going forth and facing your fears despite, you know, your anxiety about it will do magical things when you step up. You know, I mean, you know, my wife, I'm going to use my wife as an example, and then I know we have to, but my wife just recently, you know, has been feeling a lot of anxiety, right? And so she was wanting to, you know, thinking about all the things she should do and didn't do. See, I could take a yoga class, but I don't feel good, I don't feel comfortable, this and that, and I'll be sitting there in my outfit, and they're going to look at me, and this and that, or whatever, the nonsense stuff that people go through, but it's real. You're afraid of being uncovered, for being vulnerable. She did this yoga class, and she came home and said, "Marty, I am so happy." She looked at me like that. She looked like she had just drank the Kool-Aid in Jonestown. She would do, see, that was a nice reference. I thought maybe.
I got it.
But anyway, but she looked at me just like she was completely relaxed. And I thought she did that because she faced her fear. So I say, whenever that's happening, you think you shouldn't do it because you don't want to do it. Do it. Just do it anyway.
Marty, on behalf of MegaCon, on behalf of all your fans, thank you, not just for sharing your voice, but for giving a voice for all those who must face their fear with bravery. So thank you for that, and thank you so much. Everybody, big hand for Marty.